So, this guide is about choosing the right talent so that you can effectively PvP as a Shadow Priest. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the talents I chose, why I chose them, and where I'm planning on going when Cataclysm hits and I reach it level 85. So, let's just jump into it real quick here and I'll give you a quick overview. Pretty much I went 3 into Darkness because of the spell Haste. Haste is the best stat you can get as a Shadow Priest, so definitely a talent that you want to go and max out. I didn't get improved Shadow Word Pain just because I had other talents that I wanted to get and I didn't have enough talent points. So then I went 2 into Veiled Shadows, which decreases the cooldown of my Fate ability by 6 seconds and reduces my Shadow Fiend ability by 2 minutes. Very good for mana, damage, and also coupled with Phantasm. It's very useful. It allows for mobility, which is the #1 thing that you want in arenas, battlegrounds, any type of PvP scenario. Then I went 2 into Improved Psychic Scream. This is basically a Shadow Priest main source of CC, so the reduced cooldown on that is very important. Then I went 3 into Improved Mind Blast for the reduced cooldown on Mind Blast by 1.5 seconds and also the 25% Immortal Strike when I use Mind Blast on a target, which is very nice for killing the healers or killing a target that is being healed by a healer. So very useful. Also the reduced cooldown coupled with Mastery of the Shadowy Orbs, where your damage is increased by 34% per shadowy orb that you have, makes it that you definitely want to be mind blasting as much as you possibly can. Mind blasting and mind spiking, but we don't have mind spike yet. So. Then I went 2 into Improved Devouring Plague to instantly deal 30% of the total periodic effect to the target when I apply it. Pretty much I just use this for it's nice for the amount of damage when you apply Improved Devouring Plague, but I generally use it that if my Shadow Word Death is on cooldown and I need to do another 2,000 or 3,000 damage just to get something dead really quick, that's what I'll use that for. Then I went 2 into Twisted Faith, which increases your shadow damage by 2%, which is always nice, and increases my hit rating by 100% of my spirit. This right now is not, that part of it is not really that useful, but because of hit rating in Cataclysm, which has been increased substantially, it may allow you to gear differently and get a little bit less hit rating with a little bit more spirit for the mana regen and be able to get more haste. So something that to look into when Cataclysm hits. 1 into Shadow Form, of course. Definitely need it for your 15% increased damage and 15% decreased damage, and also now gives you another 5% haste to yourself and everybody else in your party or raid, so very good. And then Phantasm. This is where Veiled Shadows comes in, where your Fate ability gives you a 100% chance to remove all movement impairing effects, so you definitely want to max that out. Mobility, again, biggest thing in any type of PvP scenario, so you definitely want to have that. Then I went 2 into Harnessed Shadows, which increases the chance that you gain a shadowy orb when you deal damage with your Mind Flay or Shadow Word Pain by 8%, and also it gives you a 100% chance to gain a Shadow Orb whenever you're a victim of a critical hit, which we talked about with the Mind Blast thing up here, where the Shadow Orbs increase your damage done with your Mind Blast and Mind Spike, so you definitely want to be getting those as fast as you can. Then, obviously, 1 into Silence to allow you to kill the healers, or to even get a killing opportunity to apply a lot of pressure. It's a very good talent. You definitely want to get that. Then Vampiric Embrace. This is your 15% of your healing comes from being able to deal damage with your shadow spells, and also heals you and or other raid members for 3% of the damage you deal. So very good. It takes a little bit of strain off the healers when you're doing arenas, so it's a nice talent to have. Then I went 2 into Masochism, which I may or may not take in Cataclysm. It really depends on how mana is, but basically what it does is it allows you to and gain 8% of your mana back whenever you take damage to 10% of your health or more, and whenever you deal damage to yourself with Shadow Word Death. So anytime you Shadow Word Death, basically you'll be able to get mana back. So something to look into. May or may not take it. So. And then 2 into Mind Melt, which increases the damage done by your Shadow Word Death by 30% for targets that are below 25% health. Also, when you deal damage with Mind Spike, the cast time of your next Mind Blast is reduced by 50%. This effect lasts up to stacks up to 2 times, and lasts 6 seconds. So basically, this gives your Shadow Word Death an executability, or mechanic to it, rather. Also, the interesting part about this is that if you Mind Spike twice, you get an instant cast Mind Blast. So we don't have Mind Spike yet, but it's something to look into. So basically, you can Mind Spike twice, and then maybe throw Mind Flay in there, and try and get a couple shadowy orbs up. And then if you get a couple shadowy orbs, maybe 2, and then you Mind Blast, you're doing 68% increased damage instantly with your Mind Blast. So something to look into. Then you have 2 into pain and Suffering. I may only take 1 into this when Cataclysm hits, but right now it's pretty good. Gives you a 60% chance to refresh your Shadow Word Pain on the target, and also you take 40% less damage when you do Shadow Word Death. So you don't take quite as much damage when you do that. Then Vampiric Touch, which is your big dot. Also, it has a replenishment aspect to it, so definitely a good talent. Obviously, you want to take that. Then I went 2 into Paralysis, which you may or may not want, just because of the nature of it being based on you critically hitting with Mind Blast. Basically, it snares them for 4 seconds in place, or holds them in place for 4 seconds. But because of the you not being able to know, or the randomness of when you critically hit with Mind Blast, it really may or may not have a utility. I can kind of see Blizzard changing this one a little bit, but you never know. They may keep it the same. I'd have to play around with it and see where how often you're critting with Mind Blast and so forth. So possibly a talent that I take away. Psychic Horror, obviously, it's a disarm and a 3-second incapacitate, so it's another form of CC. If you glyph it, it's only a minute cooldown, which is very nice. So you can actually use it more of a CC now, which you should have been using as a CC in early arenas anyways. It's a very, very good CC. Sin and Punishment. Now this is something I'm really interested in. Basically, whenever your Vampiric Touch is dispelled, the Dispeller will be feared for 3 seconds, and anybody within 10 yards of the Dispeller will be feared with whenever they dispel your Vampiric Touch. So it almost has a Warlock's Unstable Affliction aspect to it, but instead of being silenced, you get feared, which honestly I think has a little bit better of a utility to it. So if you have a whole bunch of people clumped up and they dispel Vampiric Touch and then everybody gets feared, it could be very, very useful. Also, whenever your Mind Flay critically hits, it reduces the cooldown of your Shadow Fiend by 10 seconds, which is always good. Now, I didn't get Shadowy Apparition. That's mainly because right now it's not doing a lot of damage, but you never know. Maybe in arenas it will have a little bit more utility and will deal a little bit more damage, but right now it's not something that I'm really had a lot of utility for me. And then 1 into Dispersion, obviously your Shadow Priest's biggest defensive ability, also very good for gaining mana back. Now, I went into the Discipline tree and I got 2 into Mental Agility just to reduce mana cost of my instant spells, and when I am able to get more talent points when I reach level 85, I'm definitely going to be taking 1 point out of the Shadow Tree, maybe 1 out of Pain and Suffering, maybe 2 out of Paralysis, and throw 1 into improve Shadow Word Pain. I'm not quite sure yet, but definitely I need to squeeze one more point out of here just to have 33 in here. Then I'm going to put 3 into Twin Disciplines to increase my shadow damage done by 2, 4, up to 6%, which is always good. But the big thing is that I want Evangelism. Now, Evangelism is whenever you deal damage with your Shadow Word, your Mind Flay ability, you have a 40% chance of gaining Evangelism, which stacks up to 5 times. Now, for each stack of Evangelism with 2 points in this, it increases your periodic damage done with your shadow spells by 2% per stack. So you get 10% increased shadow damage by your dots, which is always good. But the big thing about it is that you get Archangel. Now, this is an awesome ability. I'm really looking forward to being able to play with this with Shadow. I'm kind of sad that you can't get it right now, but you know, something to look forward to. But basically, what Evangelism is a 30-second cooldown, and what it does is for 19 seconds, it instantly restores 5% of your base mana. And increases your damage done with your Mind Flay, Mind Spike, and Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death ability by 4% per stack. So if you had 5 stacks of Evangelism when you popped Archangel, you were doing 20% more damage with those abilities. So very, very useful. And sorry, it only lasts 18 seconds, but still 18 seconds, basically in another 12 seconds it's back up again. You can reapply it, so this is something you want to be using on cooldown when Cataclysm hits. So definitely this is a good basis for what you should be speccing. Obviously you can move some points around here and there, but you know, it's a good start. In my next video I'll be going over what glyphs you can kind of get into, but yeah, until then, have fun PvPing.